Good evening, y'all, and welcome to another experience. I want to talk to you about having competence in trading, having emotional resolve with trading. I mean, it just doesn't, I'd say it's definitely beneficial for, trading, but it's beneficial, overall in your life because you really look at it, you're just making, you know, you're just doing mergers and acquisitions all throughout your life. You're always trading something for something, you know. Just make sure that you don't trade your inner peace for chaos. So what I mean by that is this: it all really begins before you actually trade. It's just cutting off distractions and not leaving yourself open to portals, or not leaving portals in your mind, because it's really a it's a psychological thing. It's an emotional thing as well as it's a logical thing. Um, so just like what I said in the piece with the Kevin Durant, you know, being able to be a sniper, right? I mean, sniper trades are, or be a sniper with your executions, with a hand in your face. That hand is symbolic to distractions. I mean, if you look at it from a spiritual aspect, right? You gotta look at it as like these are Orion satellites, right? Lasers that are trying to basically take you off course. You know, when you look at it from you know, a much bigger perspective, you know, everything around you was meant to distract you, so you can succumb to, mediocrity and the day-to-day bullshit that everyone else is dealing with. You know, you have to learn to just cut things off, and you have to really look at your mind, your cipher, right, as a sanctuary. You know, it's just like with the vampires on True Blood. You know, you can only enter in, right, if you allow. So you can't really allow people into your space to distract you. You know, that's first and foremost. With trading and just with life in general, you want to have a clear mind, and part of having a clear mind is through discipline and through exercising, emotional discipline. Not just restraint. People say you to exercise emotional restraint, but it's really emotional discipline, because you won't have to restrain yourself if you're not around certain things. Like I had to cut someone off, recently. You know, that might seem like it's small, but it wasn't small to me. I was, talking about something, telling a joke. The person was laughing. The young lady was laughing about about 8 minutes prior. Uh, After that, she had wigged out, and I was like, okay, we're done. Then she had ran into me again and was trying to have a conversation. Mm-mm. There's nothing I did that warrant that. That's something that you got going on. So I'm gonna let you deal with that. I mean, it's even to that point. You don't allow things like that. You don't allow yourself to be in conversations that you don't want to be in. You don't entertain things that you don't really want to entertain. You know, this is just getting your mind prepared, because people say, is it a mind or body thing? Again, it's a psychological thing. Psychological thing um, has two parts to it. It has emotion as well as logic. Just like with self-esteem, confidence. Confidence is what you think of yourself. Self-esteem is how you feel about yourself. You know, so you kind of have to make sure you maintain that. You know, and the only way you can basically maintain that is just um, disciplining yourself. And, if you can avoid distractions, avoid them, you know. And people are just sent there. It's just funny how people are actually sent to distract you. You just sit back and you can almost have like a smirk on your face, you know. They don't really have anything to say to you. They have nothing to talk about. They just want to be in your space, because of their desires. And, it's the enemy's agenda. It's their desire to be in your face, and it's the enemy's agenda, you know, to take you off course. Something to think about. Yeah. And people say, it's a small thing to do things like that. There's no such thing as a small thing, man. You know. Now, when you want to talk about value and stuff like that, these are the questions that come to mind. How much of yourself do you value? That means you won't allow yourself to, engage in nonsensical conversations. Water cooler conversations, you know, petty ass arguments. And I've done that um, before. I'm not going to sit there and say I'm perfect. I've done that before. And it actually took my drone to basically, ask me, like, why were you entertaining that? I was just, I was bored. Right there, boom. Found the answer right there. I was bored. It didn't drain me of my energy. It didn't drain me of my mental or emotional resources. But guess what? It did. It wasted some time. Time that you really can't get back. That's something you have to really kind of pay attention to. That, just as far as getting yourself, conditioned all the way around, I think it all comes down to that competence, and that competence comes down to the discipline. Disciplining yourself. You discipline your life. You know, this is the preparation before you start, trading, or, investing. Like, I broke down the difference between trading and investing. Investing can work for you. It's better than saving money, you know, because if you don't have money moving or circulating, right, then what's going to happen? You're going to end up losing it. It's kind of like the parable of the talents, you know, and you can't look at what you had to start off with. And I had, some conversations with a couple young guys that's, involved in the trading aspect, and they were looking at their accounts, and their accounts are small, but then they're looking at guys, on footage that's, basically living a life that they want to live, or, making purchases that they want. And, it seems like they're just selling the dream. Like, okay, that could be cap, or that could be real, but you have to start off where you're at, and develop the discipline, the trading, you know, don't despise small beginnings, because over time, if you're consistent enough and persistent enough, you'll gradually grow your account, and you'll change your life. It's like, when you start out trading, and I believe in that 90-day process. What I mean by that, like, when you start trading, you know, in the beginning phases, you should be trying to make, as far as whatever your job is, whatever you make in a day, that's what you should, be trading for, and set goals every day. Um, don't go above it. And some days you might not make that mark, but you keep building that up. You keep building it up. Then guess what? After that, doing that for 90 days, you develop, competence. You develop that discipline. So now, what do? You start trading to make your check every day for 90 days. Same process, so forth and so on. So within what? That's what, 6 months. 6 months. Guess what? Guess what you have in your account? Then after that, it goes on and goes on. And I'm gonna tell you another thing. If anyone's familiar with, working on commission, I would say that this is really no different. And what I mean by this is like you can have 9 straight weeks of just killing it, and then you have 1 week that just goes complete shit. Like this week for me was complete shit. You know, I won, a few trades, but I lost a lot of trades. But it wasn't really a loss; it was a lesson, and I had to curve it. You know, but it's just as Absalon said. It's when you lose something, right? You got to do research, and when you do your research, you learn a lesson. You know, and then there's previous losses that show you your growth. Like for an example, you lose, throughout the week. Say you lost $1,200. You know, like shit. And we previously you made thousands of dollars, but then when you look at a reference point, right? You remember where you lost 1,300 on one trade within 5 minutes. Then it's like, okay, well, it's not that bad. It's growth right there. You have to. Part of the competence, right, is developing that discipline of knowing that you're going to lose money, right, in order to make money. You're going to lose, you know, hundreds of dollars to get thousands of dollars. You're going to lose thousands of dollars to get tens of thousands of dollars. You'll lose tens of thousands to get, to millions, so forth. These are steps and stages, right? People don't tell you about, and each stage, you know, you're developing your own emotional resolve, and it lets you know if you're ready or not. Because when you can actually look at, okay, all right, I lost this. Okay, it's not a big deal. Tomorrow, it's another day. You know, you understand when you're investing or when you're trading. There's days where you eat the bear, and then there's days when the bear eats you. You understand? It's just all part of the process. You know, T, we're not missed out on the big money trading this week. Salute. He said big money. Hey man, it's funny because I have this thing is kind of like it's like Twitter for traders, and I didn't really hear a lot of clears and a lot of wins. You didn't necessarily win out. It's like this week the market was treating people. I would say that if you were winning, you were getting decent, somewhat decent gains. Livable in a sense. Had some livable gains. And had some had some stings too. Not big bites. 1,200, losing 1,200 in a week wasn't bad. You know what I made. I had to really scrape up. It superseded that, but not by much. You know, and on top of that, I don't know if you heard the last live I had put it on a trade uh on Saturday evening, and couldn't get out of it until like yesterday, and that shit was crazy. Like it was almost about to belly out. It was like right at the bottom, and I was at Marky. Are you ready to lose this? I was like, shit. And that's another thing. Your emotions will be honest with you. You know, it'll tell you, yeah, what's really going on. Um, so that's part of it, man. JP motivate. What's going on, broski? And a lot of that's just discipline, man. Getting back to the discipline. You have to discipline your life all the way around. you know, because that's how the universe really rewards you, and the wind blows in your favor. Small things, things that you don't even think is actually important, is actually important. Like, making your bed in the morning, you know, keeping a clean, clear space is important. You know, you dirty a dish, you wash it. Like if you have a bill right now that you have to pay, you have the money to pay it. Pay it. Don't wait till the last minute. You know what I'm saying? Habits are really effective, man. People don't believe in people don't pay attention to the small things as far as like habits. You know what I'm saying? Habits really um, make your lifestyle. Habits really create your future. And I mean, for example, like, say for, you're supposed to be studying and, Joan hits you up, she wants to get up, whatever like that. It's been a couple of days for you, and, you got to be at that point, like, what? I could be cool for a couple more days, you know, and focus on, your studies because, how that's going to reward you down the stretch. She's there, then she's there, she's not, and, it's great. Either way, you know, you got to look at what's more important. Your future is more important than, temporary um, satisfaction. I wouldn't say it's fulfillment. You know, Marcus Brown, what's going on? Said peace and prosperity. I'm learning stock options now. Yeah, options are pretty fun. You know, options trading it's pretty fun. You know, and if you're investing in Jesus, somebody's car is pretty much shot right. So when you look at if you're investing in stocks, you want to look at the company profile. You want to look at the 52-week average. Um, you want to look at as far as new things that's happening with the company. Who's on the board, things like that. Trading is different. Trading, you're looking at, for me, my way of disciplining myself, I look at the the um, the graphs and algorithms within a 5 minute period. You know, I look at the high as well as the low. Resistance versus break. And then see where it's landing at. Then I can kind of time my you know my entry point. Okay, if I had to basically put in maybe do 3 minutes, right? If I'm doing HFX, right? Look at like I gotta do 3 minutes, 5 minutes, put it on fixed time. Now that's different from forex. Forex, you're looking at your you study the graph and you look at um you look at your stop loss. You study the same thing. Okay, then you could kind of determine where your stop loss is, right? And then you look at where you want to take profit, and you don't want to basically have that like a serious gap with that. You know, remember I said before, it's about getting on base. And keep getting on base every day. Eventually you'll get into the Hall of Fame. Is it choppy? Is it just me? Is it choppy? I don't know, man. It shouldn't be choppy. Can you hear me a little bit better now? That's the thing about being outside. It was like the weather is nice. Other than getting bit, you know, it's pleasant. I like being outside and enjoying the air and the beauty of just nature. And it's a full moon. Can you hear me now? Let me know. Hit like one in the chat. If you can hear me. But overall, you want to develop discipline. You know, times you could be, you should be studying. You might not, you shouldn't be playing video games or, watching television. I really don't watch television like that. I think there's only like two shows I watch. Um, it's really not on right now. I watch Billions and I like Power Book too, you know. But I watch that in like kind of like in a binge series kind of way. So, that's how I watch. I can't just sit down and watch it every week. It's it's not really that. It just doesn't work for me. You know. But yeah, it's just part of this is really the sacrifice. You're teaching yourself sacrifice. In order to make money, in order to you know develop life you want or go after the life you want, you're gonna have to make sacrifices. You're gonna have to commit yourself to it. You have to commit yourself beyond your emotions, and you have to sacrifice you know behind your emotions as well, right? And you have to remember that and keep that in mind because it's either you're going to go after the life that you want or you're going to settle for the life that's given to you. And you got to ask yourself some serious questions. I mean, your surroundings, are these the people that you want to have conversations with? A lot of people, look at stuff like, okay, they go to the dealership and they look at the car, they tell you to do that, and they tell you to go look in the neighborhood where you want to live. How about the people in your life right now? These are the kind of people that you want to have conversation with, you know, because the five people that you're around the most is really going to determine your income, from decade to decade. If you really look at it that way. Are these the type of people that you want to interact with? Are these the type of conversations that you want to have? Let's just look at it from a people standpoint. Are these the type of people that you want to be around? If the people that you're around the most, if these aren't the people that you want to be around, then you're going to have to make some changes. A major part of this is not really. I mean, people tell you, yeah, you should want stuff and everything like that. Yeah, it's great. I tell people to do that, but from a foundational standpoint, I look at it from people. Are these the type of people that I want to interact with? Because you're only going to get far, in life as the people that you spend your time having conversations with about nothing. And sometimes people want to think you're an asshole, but you know, sometimes you have to be an asshole for your inner peace. Sometimes you have to be an asshole for your success. Sometimes you be an asshole for a brighter future. Now, with focus, as I said before, focus is violent. Not violent in a physical way. Like it's just focus. Like whereas you're just cutting things off. You're cutting things short. You don't have time for that. I don't want to have a conversation with you. Period. And it's just really, and to be honest with you, that's hard to sit there and try because you try to like do it in a, you know, Remember I said before, like you're pulling your hand slowly out the lion's mouth. And people they know it. They see the resistance and they keep drawing closer to it, and until you basically say, "Look, I don't want to have a conversation with you. I don't enjoy talking to you. There's nothing that you really have to say that's beneficial to what I have going on or to my future." And sometimes you really have to just tell people straight up, "I'm working hard, right, and working smart to the point that you know I won't have to be around you." That's kind of that's a goal. I don't want to be around you. I don't want to interact with you. You know, I like to say to myself, or I don't even say to myself, I would like to actually be my reality. The words though, 6 months from now, I won't even know you exist. I won't even know that this dog shit conversation exists. Discipline. See, people are selfish with their money, but they're not selfish with their time. Now, how are you stingy with your money, but you're not stingy with your time? Because people will bombard you with some of the dumbest shit. Some of the most, I mean, nonsensical conversations about nothing. And everybody wants attention. Male and female alike, they all want attention. They're not after respect. Very few people live for honor, right? You could tell. They live for attention. You can tell the difference between if you're living for attention versus you're living for honor. Because your lifestyle will tell you that. Your lifestyle will tell you that. Are you living for honor or are you living for attention? Got to be a little selfish now to be selfless tomorrow. Exactly. You got to. You got to. You're making sacrifice. It's called delayed gratification. You know, you want to be focused, right? You want to be so developed into your craft as far as a trader, whereas the people could say, like, they to the point they like, man, I did know him. The words though you've worked so hard. Now, people talk about, as far as development of self and stuff like that. That's part of it. That's the real work. You know, a lot of your life really consists of cutting people off and cutting off habits, bad habits. Bad habits produce dog shit results. You know, bad company produces, you know, miserable life. If you're a person that's consistent, steady, you know, um, you know, and you stand on business, you shouldn't be dealing with people that's flip flopping around. There's too much. There's too much going on. Too many distractions. That person hasn't resolved their their emotions or what's going on with inside of them. They haven't learned to basically discipline that. So you gotta leave them to themselves. You know, leave them to the wilderness. To the point to where they eat sand, and eventually they'll probably figure it out. If they're lucky. You know, that's not your job. Your job is not to save people. You can't save people. Get over that. Get that Jesus complex out of your mind. You can't save people. People can't even save themselves. You know. Now it comes down to this. It's either going to be dedicated to self-preservation or self-destruction. Most people are committed to self-destruction. Going back to what the type of people that they have in their life. It's just like they'll sit there and just complain about. You ever hear people talk about their significant other or the friends. They'll sit there and complain about them all the time. So then you ask them a question. Okay, well, why are you dealing with this person? And they draw a blank. And the reason why, which they don't want to say it out loud, is because they like that dysfunction. They like to complain. I'm not even gonna play that game because if I really have to question why you're around me, then you don't need to be around me. And I'm not giving you second chances. You shouldn't give second chances because you bring people back in, they'll do the same shit that frustrated you. No, we're not having that type of operation. You know, I'm not gonna be stressed out over anybody. I don't even care if it's my own child. you got to go. Now that sounds savage, but it is what it is. I'm not going to allow myself to be frustrated and stressed out over anybody, over anything. That's the mindset that you have to have. An assassin focuses on their target. And I said before, you're going to have distractions. You're going to have pleasant distractions, and you're going to have unpleasant distractions. Now, there's nothing wrong with a little bit of recess, but is everything wrong with excess, right? Everything wrong with too much recess, you know? Whatever your entertainment is, you should treat that like it's a coffee break. You know, you treat your life like a job. Your job isn't your job. Your life is your job. And you have to treat your entertainment like it's a coffee break or a smoke break. You know, too much time on your coffee break, guess what happens? You can get fired, right? So what happens, when you spend too much time having fun, right? You get knocked down a position. You just basically tricked yourself out of position. It's like the song Ghetto Boys, mind playing tricks on you. Your mind can play tricks on you. Just that easy because pleasant distractions, the thing is you don't even realize it's actually a distraction. Because you didn't keep in mind it's a distraction. As a man, you used to have that clear and already in your mind. You know, Dealing with the opposite sex at the end of the day, you know, it can either be a pleasant distraction or an unpleasant distraction. Okay. Women are not a bad thing, not necessarily a good thing. It's a thing. It's a double-edged sword. You know, Depending on how you lead the situation, how you navigate it. Okay, you're gonna work it to your benefit or to your detriment. You know, this is a sign of value right here. Is everything in your life working for your benefit? My life is tailored around my trading. Everything in my life. You know, just like with Kobe Bryant when he was focused on that basketball, when he had that scandal that had popped up. He said, "This is one thing that got me here. So I'm gonna put all my focus, my dedication into this, to that basketball." That's how you should approach trading. That type of focus, that type of work ethic, that type of you know, that type of resolve. When you look at things, how's this going to benefit here? I take lessons from anything. How did I take that from basketball and I applied it to that? You know, it's amazing, right? And going back to what you know, brother JP had said, you got to be a little selfish now to be selfless tomorrow. Being selfish is not a bad thing. You know, you want to be selfish with your time. You know, Time is your most important asset. It's your most important resource. We all have 24 hours in a day. You're gonna look at it differently, especially with trading teaches you how to look at time differently. You know how much you can actually make in just 1 minute versus 8 hours, 12 hours on a job that you hate. That'll help you look at things differently. And keep in mind, don't look at what you have in your account right? And based on looking at what other people have in their accounts, because trust me, there's levels. As I told you before, there was is it Twitter for traders, and this guy had made it clear he cashed out, made $75,000 one trade. It's like, yeah, take my girlfriend to lunch. It was no cap. He basically pretty much showed, the statement. The other person's gonna look at that like, oh man, that's gonna. No, that gives you an idea. And it shows you what he did afterwards. He made $75,000. The average household, I'm talking about man and woman living together, don't even make that. A year. He made that in one day, in one trade. That's something right there. That's I wouldn't say it is mind boggling. You know what I'm saying? But that's something right there that's motivational for me. Not someone showing bust downs or party on a yacht or whatever like that. Or being on a jet. You know, there's ways around that. Whereas though it's not really as expensive. So and it's not really that impressive to me. Like as far as what you made on a trade, I'm looking at that, right? That's one thing. But I'm looking at, you know, what I was paying attention to was the entry point, right? There's entry point and there's exit. And what I noticed with his exit is people looking at the numbers. I looked at what he made, but I looked at his exit because his take profit, he left 8 points under his take profit. That's a level of experience right there. Whereas you just know when to say when, when to take profit. Remember I said before, a real player, knows when to take profit. You know, only sheep and pigs get slaughtered. You got to know when to take profit and when to take the loss. But that's developed through that competence. You know, the market is emotional. It's not logical. That's people fail to understand. It's emotional because it's volatile. It's all over the place. You know, it's really no different from you. But the key to basically having success in the market and understanding the trading psychology is knowing how to cap it and knowing when to cap it. But keep in mind, every area in your life has to be disciplined. That's the most important thing you should be seeking after, not seeking after pussy or just other, just nigga trinkets or whatever like that. Is you should be focused on disciplining every area in your life, every area. You know, don't leave any stone unturned. Like that should be your focus. I mean, you're so focused on just getting your life in order and in decency, right? This is when the beauty happens. This is when the universe really opens up the window of heaven and really blesses you and changes things. You have to be disciplined in every area in your life, and you have to be focused. Make yourself a machine. Be on a man, be a machine. It's like love your neighbor as yourself. Self love first. Exactly. Part of loving yourself is discipline. As below, so above, as within, so without. Now you got to look at again, going back to the people and the things that's coming around you, the Orion satellites, the people that's coming up to you. People that's trying to fight for your attention. That's an indicator that there's something in your mind and something in your emotions that's just as chaotic and ridiculous as that person in front of you. But that person is trying to get your attention. We too busy looking at what's happening versus why that's happening. You know, like why is this crazy son of a bitch in my face? Or trying to get my attention, but you're not really looking at, you know, what is crazy going on inside of me that's causing that to be in my face. Me personally, I don't want any bullshit around me. I'm not really. I'm into results. I'm a results oriented person. Some people are more people oriented people. That's their thing. And if you're basically a people oriented person, and you're around someone that's a results oriented person, it, people keep thinking this whole difference thing, works out, but no, it doesn't. You should remove yourself because you're gonna frustrate yourself. Just like I'm a results oriented person, right? Me being a results oriented person goes back to that self love. See, whereas though the better I help myself, the better I can actually help you. But for right now, get away from me. You should have enough sense to know to get away from me. And you gotta basically, I gotta tell people that, like, look, I'm focused, and I'm not going to hesitate to sacrifice you for the greater good to move forward. So I think it'd be in your best interest to just step away for now, and we'll revisit this conversation. Hopefully, you've evolved and grown, because I am. We can revisit that, and that'll be that. Now that sounds, you know, it sounds savage, okay, but it is what it is. You got to ask yourself, how serious are you about, um, you know, discipline? How serious are you about, your success? How serious are you about winning? How important is winning to you? That's going to determine everything for you right there. Like, I don't have time for dumb shit. I don't have time for dumb people. I don't have time for meaningless conversations. I'm not a hangout buddy. I don't plan on ever being one. There was a point in time I was, but when I was a child, I thought as a child, and I put away childish things, right? And I became a man. I'm not hanging out and you just watch the game and drink beer. You're another man. We gotta have some type of business going on. If we ain't got no type of business going on, we have no business talking to each other. This is how you trade with competence. This is how you live your life with discipline. You know, I'm not making any reservations for anyone's emotions. Although I understand how they feel, right? But at the same time, it doesn't benefit me. It doesn't benefit you know, what my goals are. I want to leave it at that. You know, take it how you want it. And what I mean by take it how you want it, take it with a grain of salt, right? Or, eat the meat, spit out the bone. Tailor this to your personality. But anyways, blessings to you.